Welcome back to Eat Color with Claudia. Today we're making something incredibly special. My Aunt Carmela's spinach pie. A vintage Italian American recipe that has a personality all of its own and is downright scrumptious. It's not your typical Italian Easter spinach pie with a hard-boiled egg and cheeses like ricotta, parm, and pecorino. And it's not your Greek spinach pie, the Spanakopita, that has herbs and lemon in there. No, this pie is totally different. Yes, it's got the spinach, lots of it. 6 packages of frozen spinach, 2 large onions chopped, and the cheeses. This is where this recipe gets really interesting. Back in the 1950s and 60s, a lot of Italian immigrants would adapt their recipes based on what was available in the American markets. And this pie is a delicious example of that. 3/4 pound of diced Munster cheese, not particularly Italian, but it melts beautiful and is perfect in this recipe. 2 packages of softened cream cheese, a mid-century favorite that people were using to make things like silky and with a lot of body. 1/4 pound of crumbled feta cheese, a nod to the Greek kitchens. 8 ounces of chopped mozzarella cheese. This is classic Italian. And then we also need 2 eggs, which will just bind the spinach pie. And then 1 cup of melted butter. I like to keep it in another bowl filled with hot water, so to keep my butter nice and melted. And finally, we need phyllo dough, not to be confused with pastry sheets, because I do that all the time. We just thought according to package directions, and then we'll just need 1 package. Since we already have the onions and the cheeses all prepped and ready, the only thing left to tackle is the spinach. Take all your spinach blocks out of the frozen packages, and if you can remember ahead of time to start the thawing process by taking it out of the freezer ahead of time, you're already a step ahead. Take a block, cut it almost like in a tic-tac-toe pattern, and cut it into smaller pieces because this will just make it defrost faster. I'm just going to do this to all of them. Then place all these spinach pieces in the largest strainer that you have, and then run warm water over the spinach. Once it's all defrosted, just take a spatula and just start pressing. Press down to the center, along the sides, and try to extract as much moisture as possible. And then I like to pick it all up, lift it, stir it around a little bit, and then do another press. And I like to do this 3 or 4 times. Now let it sit and finish draining while we move on to the onions. In a warm, large skillet, drizzle 2 tablespoons of olive oil. Add in all the chopped onions. Gently saute your onions in here for 10-15 minutes on medium heat. The goal is for them to become soft, sweet, and barely golden. While the onions are cooking, that's a great time to pull out all the white dishes you need to assemble the spinach pie. We're going to need a 9x13 baking dish, a large bowl to mix everything, and I just like to use a stock pot because I need that room so that we don't have, like a bunch of spills when we go to mix. Oh wow, there is nothing better than slow cooked onions. They've been on here for at least 15-20 minutes. They're gorgeous. Let's make the spinach pie filling. So we're gonna start with our spinach, and we're gonna give it one last squeeze. And then just use your hands and give it another squeeze. Just when you think it's all out, there's still some in here. And plop it in that bowl. And we're just gonna keep doing this, getting handfuls until we get all the spinach in the bowl with the least amount of water as possible. Now we're gonna add in the soft onions. Let's get the cream cheese in, the diced Munster, the crumbled feta, and the mozzarella. Now lightly scramble those 2 eggs and pour them in. We need to mix this all together. Now, if you're talented and can use a spatula or a spoon, go for it. But I tell you what, the best way to do it is to just reach in there with your hands and just mix this all up together. I don't know if anybody noticed, but there's no herbs in here. I mean, this is what makes this pie so unique. It just focuses on all that melted richness and goodness rather than the bright Mediterranean seasonings you'd expect. Now take your pastry brush and lightly brush the bottom of your casserole pan. Now take 4 sheets of the phyllo dough, and I like to cover it with a towel here just to keep it nice and damp, because this phyllo dough tends to dry out pretty quick. And lay them down in the bottom. We're going to add in all this spinach filling right on top of this phyllo dough. Spread it down with the spatula and try to get it from edge to edge. Now here comes the fun, all the top phyllo layers. So now you want to grab these, if you can, one at a time, and lay them on top. I have a little bit of a bigger pan, so I'm going to go ahead and put 2 at a time, just so that I make sure that everything's covered. And then take your butter, dab of butter all on the top of these, of your phyllo slice. The technique of layering phyllo with butter is actually a classic Mediterranean. They use this in a lot of Greek and Middle Eastern recipes. And in this recipe, they refer to these phyllo sheets as a leaf. This is a nod to the Greek language, because leaf means phyllo. It's thin, delicate, and layered. Now when you get to the last couple of sheets, tuck this top sheet here and get the corners. Just kind of tuck them in a little bit. Use a sharp knife to cut the spinach pie into squares. I always like to start in the middle. Score each little square, and you don't have to go all the way down to the bottom. Just kind of like halfway through, and make little triangles. Now brush the last of the butter all on top. If your phyllo is kind of flipping up, that's okay. It's gonna get a beautiful rustic look to it, and who doesn't love rustic? And now if you've got butter left, try to make sure that you dribble it in each one of these cracks, because this will keep the this phyllo dough from curling while it bakes. I'd say use every last bit of butter. Just get it all in there. Now here's kind of like a quirky part. Do not preheat your oven. Nope, you're gonna put this in a cold oven, then set it to 350 degrees. And let it bake for 35 or 45 minutes until you start to see the top turn all golden brown. Is this not gorgeous? Let it rest for about 10 minutes before slicing. This dish is proof that recipes don't need to be complicated to be special. Sometimes all it takes is a few simple ingredients and a memory that never leaves your heart. Just like my sweet Aunt Carmela. Just look at that filling. The creaminess of the cheese, the earthy spinach, and that flaky phyllo. Ah, it's heaven, it's heaven. Comfort at its finest. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, give me a thumbs up, subscribe to Eat Color with Claudia. And until next week, y'all, bon appetit.